Yep, Randy. I know you did. You just made me nervous, like, oh no, did I just make that conversation up in my head? Like, I can't see anything. I'm gonna pass it on. Hmm?
Ever able to talk to the architect?
Oh, yeah, give me one, he's gonna end up some of these.
Thank you. Let's see how this works.
Okay, we're ready. Good evening. The February 25th agenda meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Council President Dixon?
Present.
Councilman Farkas?
Here.
Councilwoman Kerber?
Present.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of holding this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official Borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 10, 2019. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by a salute to our nation's flag. We will go into items for discussion. First is the change orders numbers 2 and 3 with Macaulay Construction for the Public Works and Firehouse project. This time I'll ask Mr. Kevin Settembrino from Settembrino Architect to come up and put up his easel. Excuse me?
Can we move it so it's in the shot with him, is that okay, or?
It doesn't matter to me. I don't know that anyone from the council would be able to see much of that from here anyway.
You want me to rotate the camera a little bit, Russ?
You know what?
No, that's-
If we could stand over there, it'd be better, we'll use this camera, and use the wireless mic, if that's okay.
If Mr. Settembrino would just maybe put it over here on the other side. Is that okay, Russ? Right there?
That works, sir.
Yeah, just
We're turning
face
this
it.
way. That's it.
Okay, Mike, the mayor.
Perfect.
Perfect.
No. Stand on one leg and just
Roll ahead of cabbage. Okay.
Very good.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome.
Thank you. This evening, if you would like, I can go through the change orders as I did go through a few weeks ago.
Yes, please.
I'll be happy to do it. So just to refresh everyone's memory, to date, the change orders that we're requesting this evening are a change order for material and labor for the DPW and the firehouse, which are predominantly modifications to the concrete slab as done by the subcontractor Conestoga Buildings, such that the concrete slab in the documents that you had prior to today did not have a haunched slab at the edge of the concrete slab, and it was only 6 inches and not 8 inches, and it had welded wire mesh in it instead of number 5 rebar in the slab. So that was predominantly one of the change order drivers. The second predominant driver in both the DPW and the firehouse building was the inclusion of, or the requirement for an elevator with regard to second floor occupancies. As I had noted prior to today, any municipal or government owner of a second floor in a municipally owned building must have barrier-free access to that building. In one of the buildings, we did have a full-on elevator. In the other building, it was a limited use, a limited occupancy, occupancy elevator, or a LULA, and that was required in the second building, a little bit less expensive than a two-stop elevator. Those are the primary drivers in the change order for the firehouse and the DPW. A third item that you had asked me about previous to tonight was the electric cost breakdown. There was approximately a $50,000 electric cost increase in both the DPW and the firehouse. We've provided to you through your CFO the breakdown. I trust that everyone has seen it. It allocates about $25,000 per building, DPW and firehouse, with applicable credits. The majority of those changes were additional lighting fixtures that were added by our engineer based on the review of your current documents. There was also a question with regard to the DPW building and the cost variance between the radiant heat in the floor or the forced air HVAC. We've checked with our engineer. He's made a determination that there's, in fact, no cost variance whether you did one or the other. So we did ask him about that, so his comment to me was that there wasn't any cost decrease, which is a little surprising to me, but I asked him to run the numbers for me, and there wasn't any variance on that cost, right? As I mentioned before, radiant heat, it is essentially hot water in tubing that's embedded in the concrete slab. It is, in fact, radiant, so that when the pump does stop pumping, there's still hot water in the tube, so you will have heat that still will be in the space as opposed to a forced air system. Although it's a variable speed system, and the fan mower is on from low to medium to high. With the opening of the overhead doors in the bays, you'll still have a large loss of hot air very quickly that needs to be made up for, which is less efficient than having radiant heat in the floor. So I think your operational costs will be lower if you do in fact proceed with radiant heating as opposed to forced air heating, especially when you have such large apertures that'll open on a regular basis. Right? That's the wrap up with regard to the drivers for the change orders. That for the material and labor change order. The other change order is a delay change order with regard to the time of completion. The contractor had, and we had agreed to, requested 4 months of additional delay, additional timing beyond substantial completion at a rate of approximately $17,587 per month. We had agreed to a 4-month delay in time. The original schedule for the contractor called for consecutive building of DPW and the firehouse. We're recommending at this time, based on the advanced state of the site, that you can build the buildings simultaneously. Thus not an 8-month delay, but a 4-month delay. So we're only recommending a 4-month delay in construction costs. However, we're requesting that the contract be extended until the end of this year with no additional cost or delay claims from the general contractor. So there is a 4 months worth of monetary delay costs, but we're going to ask that the project be continued until the end of the year. There are some items that the contractor needs to do after the buildings are finished. So that gives you a high-level review of the 2 proposed change orders with some of the questions that you had last time we met. And hopefully I've answered those, and happy to answer any additional questions.
Any additional questions for the architect?
Kevin, I have just one question.
Sure.
With the radiant heat, that heat will rise. Are there still going to be blowers?
Yes.
There will still be blowers?
There will be, but there wouldn't be, there would be more if the radiant heat didn't exist.
Okay, and there'll be...
There'll be some.
Will they produce hot air, or are they
Yes.
just blowing whatever's around?
No, it's
Forced hot air?
Yes. But again, it's not a primary heat source. We do use 2 based on the type of building, type of construction, and the apertures that are in the building.
That was my only question.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. You said earlier that there was no price difference. What if a leak develops in the in-floor heating?
It would have to. It would need to be removed and redone. You would have to cut that slab to access it.
Jackhammer the slab out and fix it. What material is it? PEX?
It's similar to a PEX. It essentially has it's a closed loop system, and the thermostat will will call for heat, and then it will run a particular temperature water. Don't ask me what it is. I think it's either 180 degrees or so through the system, and then that will be radiant through the slab.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have a question. Could you point out, is it the entire slab of the DPW that's
Just
getting the
the
rating?
bay area.
The bay areas is where we park the trucks?
Yep.
And how many trucks, how many bays do we have?
I think there are 12, if I recall correctly.
10 bays, I believe, and 12 doors. Because two of the bays are drive-throughs.
And what's the expectation of how warm it should be in those bays?
We would try to achieve, any heating system tries to achieve between 68 and 72 degrees, which is the comfort zone. Certainly it can be set for less. Whatever you call for, it's translated into a water temperature that leaves the boiler.
So that's just parking the trucks, right? There's no
It's-
people in there.
Well, I'm saying it's a conditioned space, right? So any conditioned space, you try to heat between 68 and 72 degrees.
So, okay.
You don't
And-
have to heat it as much.
Right, right. And I guess I just don't understand why we're heating trucks to be parked in a bay.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is you do have a suppression system, which is a wet system in the building. So certainly you have to heat the space beyond anything freezing inside the building. It's an occupied building, has water in the building.
Right.
You certainly wouldn't heat it any less than 60 degrees with regard to anything, so that nothing freezes inside the building, especially when you have running and standing water in a suppression system.
When you say fire, suppression system, you are referring to a fire sprinkler system that's required by law?
Yes, sir. Based on the tabular area, the tabular area of the building exceeds the required tabular area. You need sprinklers to deal with that.
Any other questions?
Yes. I believe this last Tuesday, I thank you, you took us on a tour of the other building.
Hopefully it wasn't too
Another
cold.
building very similar, and that building also had radiant heat.
Yes, sir.
Do you recommend that over the forced hot air?
I recommend it.
Or along with?
The forced hot air is an ancillary system. It's not the main system. I do recommend them in conjunction, especially when you have very large doors that open and close, and a lot of that hot air is gonna leave fairly
Yeah.
quickly. Yes.
Well, we saw that. The building was cold over there.
Well, nothing was on.
And
There was
it
no,
wasn't insulated as a.
no, the insulation was nicely wrapped in packages, still not in the walls yet. So,
Again, I
but
thank you though for taking us through. You explained a lot of questions.
it was my pleasure. Happy to do it.
Anyone else?
When it comes to the radiant heat, how long does it take for there to be a heat loss, a noticeable heat loss? I understand with forced hot air.
Sure.
You open the door, you get the cold rush of air in, the heat's gone, the system's got to kick back on. What's the cycling frequency for a radiant heat system to maintain ambient temperature despite a door opening or closing?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer for you with regard to that question. I know that you can do a faster recovery with regard to radiant heat as opposed to forced air. I just don't know what the variance is, but I can get that information for you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
With that, we will move on to miscellaneous engineering items, and we will call on our friend from CME Associates.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, at the Public Works site, the contractor continues to work on the retaining walls. They've also been working on the stormwater outfall. And at the water tank, they're continuing to erect the scaffolding. They also are looking into starting interior repair work next week and draining the tank. And that's about it for the report.
Okay. Any questions for the engineers?
I do. Before the scaffolding comes down, are there plans for Metallica or AC/DC or anyone else to come and perform? I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook, and I just want to clear the air that's, I mean, if you can make it happen, great, but that's
I'll
not
get back
happening?
to you.
Okay. Actually, and on a more serious note, when they're draining the tank, how much notification do you think we'll have? Because I know when they drain the tank and we get a lot of flow from there, it disrupts some of the sedimentation that's in the pipe that goes under the turnpike, and the residents over on JFK and Ackerman Avenue experienced some brown or discolored water at that time, so.
Yeah, well, it's definitely happening next week. It's gonna be a slow drain to ease it out. We're not sure if it's going back into the system at this point, or if it's just going to go to waste, because we're not sure about the chlorine content in the water, so, that's all getting checked out now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yep, just a quick question. The antennas on the side of the water tower, are they gonna come off?
Yes,
When are they gonna come off? Because I see the scaffolding's up and they're still up there.
some of them are getting moved onto the scaffolding. So the scaffolding's gotta get completed,
Support.
and then we're gonna mount some of them right on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
they worked it out with, some of the carriers. So they basically stay very close to the existing location.
really? Interesting. Okay. 'Cause I
Not
s-
all of them, but some of them.
Some of them are?
Anything else? Okay, seeing none, we'll close miscellaneous engineering items and open to audience comments. Please state your name and address for identification for the record. With that, I will open audience comments.
Phil Zambrana, 40 Van Loo Avenue. Regarding the radiant heat, is that something that is common common in firehouses or municipal complexes? Or is that something in the last 3 to 5 years that's become more prevalent?
Yeah, if you could come up to the microphone and,
Thanks. So radiant heat is typically applied in large open spaces and is a little bit more efficient than forced air, specifically because of potential heat loss for large doors.
And because of the number of doors that we're talking about, number of bays, then that's something you would recommend putting in the radiant heat along with the forced air to keep everything at a comfortable level?
Correct.
Okay, so of the $770,000 that's going into the change order number 2, how much could you, I guess, tag to the radiant heat?
Just give me 1 second. Sure. So on the Public Works building, the HVAC line item, and the HVAC line item is an adder of approximately $70,000. That includes correcting an HVAC deficiency that was in the original design, and that heating as well. That's the line item in the change order proposal.
So was the radiant heat already in the original architectural plans? It's not being added after the fact?
Correct.
Okay, so it was there already?
Some of it was there, yep, but
Okay.
the heating system was deficient in the original plans.
Okay. I also, the elevator, was that in the original
No, sir.
plan? So
There
it came
would
after
be-
the fact?
The elevator in the Public Works building and in the Firehouse building were not included in the original plans. We did add them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close audience comments, and I'll accept the motion for adjournment.
So be it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Council President Dixon, seconded by Councilman Kerber. We adjourned. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to adjourn for about 3 minutes.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I got a workman's comp claim. I had to lift a new jug of water.
Good evening. The February 25th, 2019 meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Here.
Councilman Farkas?
Here.
Councilman Kerber?
Present.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 present.
Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 10, 2019. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer, followed by a salute to our nation's flag. Okay, the first order of business this evening is an official mayoral proclamation proclaiming March as the Youth Art Month of 2019. Whereas art education contributes powerful educational benefits to all elementary, middle, and secondary students, including the following. Art education develops students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities. Art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. Art education interrelates student learning in art production, art history, art criticism, and aesthetics. Whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experiences in all students' education. And now, therefore, I, Eric A. Stieber, Mayor of the Borough of Milltown, do hereby proclaim that support should be given to art teachers as they attempt to strengthen art education in their schools and communities. And be it further resolved that I, Eric A. Stieber, proclaim the month of March to be observed as Youth Art Month for the year 2019. I urge all residents of Milltown to take interest in and give full support to quality school art programs for children and youth. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the Borough of Milltown to be affixed this 25th day of February 2019. And thank you for your consideration to that ordinance. Okay, with that, we will move on. Next on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. We have a public hearing scheduled for ordinance number 19-1470. The ordinance has been published according to law. Copies have been made available to the public prior to this evening's meeting. I would ask anyone wishing to speak in favor or against the ordinance to please, when recognized, please state your name and address clearly in the microphone in the center of the room. For the record, will the clerk please read ordinance number 19-1470 by title, please?
An ordinance of the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown amending redevelopment plan known as the Milltown Fort Avenue redevelopment plan.
Okay, I will open the public hearing for this ordinance. Does anyone have anything they wish to say at this time?
I make the motion to,
Mayor, due to the holiday, it wasn't in the paper long enough for us to go forward, so we've requested that it be tabled. So if the
Second.
council wishes to motion to table it to the March 11th meeting.
so it says on here, table to March 11th, so I'll make a motion to table it till March 11th.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Mayer, seconded by Councilman Legati, that the ordinance be tabled to the March 11th, 2019 meeting. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So tabled. Okay, next we will have comments from the audience. And questions on resolutions and bills and claims listed on the agenda. If you have any comments or questions, please use the microphone in the center of the room. Give your name and address for identification of the record. Please remember that comments and questions are limited to the resolutions and the bills and claims listed on the agenda. With that, I will open audience comments. Seeing none, I will close audience comments. Next, we have reports of standing committees and introduction of resolutions. A consent resolution has been prepared to cover the 10 resolutions listed on this evening's agenda. If any member of the council would like any of those resolutions acted upon independently, please state the name of the resolution and it will be removed from the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, 19070.
Are there any others? Okay. The clerk will remove 070. And there's a reminder to the council, the consent will be for all agenda resolutions on the agenda, except things number 19-070. With that, will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting, and whereas the Borough Clerk has posted a consent agenda for this meeting, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the consent agenda previously prepared by the Borough Clerk be approved without the necessity of having the individual resolutions read by the Borough Clerk.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Revelinsky, seconded by Council President Dixon, that the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Kerber?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we have 6 ayes.
So moved. Will the clerk please read Resolution 19-070 by title, please?
A resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown reappointing the municipal clerk.
Okay, you've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that this resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Farkas, seconded by Councilman Legati, that the resolution is adopted. Is there any discussion?
No, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to vote on this one separately.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's probably good we point this out to the public. This is a resolution of the Borough Council to the Borough of Milltown reappointing the municipal clerk. And in there it states the clerk is appointed for a 3rd-year term by the governing body of the municipality. And that March 1st, 2016, by resolution, it's a 3-year term. Pursuant to NJSA 40A:9-133.7, any person holding the office of municipal clerk in any municipality and having held such office continuously for 5 years from the date of this original appointment shall have tenure in such office and shall not be removed therefrom except for good cause shown after a fair and impartial hearing. I just want to make that clear that when we vote on this tonight, and this is by no means a reflection on Ms. Saboni or the clerk, it's just you go into 5 years and barring any instances, that's tenure for life or until retirement. So I just want to let the people of Milltown know that that is a statute for clerks as well as I believe for CFOs, if I'm not mistaken.
And tax collectors and tax assessors.
And tax collectors and tax assessors.
Although, let me just make one correction. The 48-9-133.7 refers to so long as they've served as a municipal clerk or performed the duties of municipal clerk for not less than 3 consecutive years immediately prior to such reappointment. I know there had been an earlier version that was citing 5 years. The correct statute is 3 years.
So after serving 3 years, a reappointment entitles tenure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I, for one, have never been, and again, this is absolutely no reflection whatsoever on our clerk or any of our other professionals, but I've never been one for tenure. I don't like what it implies down the line. I don't like that it makes it extremely difficult to replace someone who at any given time may underperform their duties and then have to go in front of a fair and impartial hearing. So that's my 2 cents.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, being that this has been brought to light, I have full confidence in our current borough clerk that she will handle tenure with the utmost professionalism and respect that it inherits. So let's vote.
Anyone else? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Farkas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kerber?
No.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky?
No.
Mr. Mayor, we have 4 ayes and 2 noes.
So moved. And congratulations. Okay. Next, we will hear from the Department of Finance, Administration, and Planning, chaired by Council President Ron Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Past week, we had finance meetings, and we're moving ahead. I think we've covered, and Mr. Barr, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think we covered 3 or 4 department heads so far. We have a couple more to go on.
Right, we covered
We'll be
3 of
setting
the-
up other meetings as,
3 of the major departments.
and then there's other, as we've had these meetings, things have come up, and Mr. Barr's been getting back to us with answering the questions. So we're in the process of moving forward with completing our 2019 budget, and we will keep the council informed of any other information that comes up.
Great. That concludes the report.
That concludes our report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Public Safety, chaired by Councilman Nicholas Legati.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first report is for the Zoning Board of Adjustment. We had our reorganization meeting the beginning of the month, and proud to say that Mr. Jack Bisco has accepted the role of chairman once again, and they are moving forward with all their scheduled appointments for the zoning board. No report for the police this week. Theirs was last week. The Milltown Fire Department month-end report for February 2019. Total number of fire calls, 18. Total number of training details, 2. Total number of work details, 4. Total number of meeting details, 1. Total number of miscellaneous details, 1. Total incidents, 26. If everybody would allow me, this month I want to go in a little bit more detailed on the total number of fire calls, because I think people should know that, you know what our guys are doing and how they're acting on some of this stuff here. Fire calls were 2. Active fire alarms were 4. CO alarm and emergencies were 1. Standby call was 1. Mutual aid was 3. Hazardous conditions was 8. I point that out because I think that the mutual aid number and the total number of fire calls are significant, that the residents in Milltown should know, what our fire department is doing for us. Buildings and grounds. Cold water faucets were open during cold weather streak. Members, along with the Public Works, monitor to the electric heaters in the basement in order to prevent frozen and broken pipes. Windows on the 2nd floor of the Main Street Firehouse were fixed by members so that they now stay shut. Equipment and maintenance. Repaired CO meter was returned from service. Obtaining quotes to replace a 25-year-old rotary gas rescue saw that is OOS. You got to help me. Out of service. Thank you. And that concludes my report, but that was respectfully from Chief Daniel Null. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Utilities, chaired by Councilwoman Trina Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the past month, the Utility Department had the following work: 54 daily station checks, 31 substation checks, 81 utility markouts. Water samples, disinfectant residual testing was performed on January 2nd, 9th, and 16th. All testing was found to be within acceptable parameters. The electrical utility, various electric meters were replaced, inventory was reviewed and restocked, several house drops were replaced, street lights were repaired, and the bucket trucks got their yearly dielectric inspections. For the water department, numerous broken water meters were replaced throughout the borough. Curb stops were located for various customers. The water department inventory was reviewed and restocked. A water main break on West Lakewood was repaired. The water tower painting project is underway, and the utility department has been assisting in the planning and preparation by the contractors. Due to extremely low temperatures, the utility department installed supplemental electric space heating inside the base of the water tower to protect the exposed piping from freezing. The 250 horsepower pump at Church Street Pumping Station was rewound, rebuilt, and installed and tested. A spare air compressor was installed at the Church Street Pumping Station for the bubbler system. Metering. As always, the utility department works hand in hand with the utility billing department to ensure accurate utility charges. We troubleshoot faulty meters and work very hard to resolve any billing issues that occur. Just last week, on February 19th, a break occurred in the 12-inch sewage forced main near the intersection of Milltown Road and Georges Road. A contractor was dispatched to handle the repairs while the utility department personnel managed the Church Street pumping station and the transfer of waste from our pumping facility to North Brunswick's lift station for disposal. This is the third break in roughly a year's time. The piping is close to 100 years old and seems to be failing from corrosion and possibly bad fill materials utilized during the original construction many years ago. Replacement of this pipe is going to be a necessary project to avoid these costly emergency repairs. A reminder to all residents, if you have a water, sewer, or electric emergency, you can call Milltown Police Dispatch at 732-828-2100, extension 0, for service at any time. For non-emergency situations like reporting a street light out or a leaking fire hydrant, you can call the utility office at extension 137, or now you can report a non-emergency problems on the borough website. If you have questions about a water or electric service or your water or electric bill, please call 828-2100, extension 183. Remember to check with Channel 15 and milltownnewjersey.org for updated information. I will say regarding the force main, I spoke to Mr. McClellan on Friday night. I am going to put a utilities committee meeting on for next Wednesday, and we will have Mr. McClellan there, and I'm also requesting that our auditor be there so that we can develop a full scope of what we have to look into for our utility department as is and where we need to go moving forward. So that's for the utilities. As far as my liaison report for the Board of Ed, I have two things, one of which maybe Councilman Revelinsky will touch on, but I did get an email that they are going to be doing HVAC improvements at Parkview this summer, which will require relocating the SAC to JK. And also what I have to announce is they have a meeting tonight where they will announce that Milltown will be doing full-day kindergarten starting in September. So they will have 4 full-day sessions at Parkview. So it's something that people have been asking for a long time, and they said due to some of the state funding that they got back, they could finally implement that. And the third thing is more of a comment, but I'll just say it now. The strategic plan that we had to reschedule because I got sick last month is now scheduled for Wednesday, March 20th at 7 p.m. here in Borough Hall. And it's on the website, and I'll remind everyone that came the first time. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Public Works and Recycling, chaired by Councilwoman Dorianne Kerber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of the weather this week, we had a police report as well as Public Works. As per borough ordinance, I just want to remind everyone, due to potential snowstorms, residents are reminded to remove their vehicles from the roadway when snow accumulates. Public Works and utility crews will be able to work more efficiently to keep the roadways clear. We need your cooperation and ask for our residents to park in the borough parking lots. You can call here at Borough Hall for parking lot designation, and we thank you for your cooperation. Complete Streets update. We met, and Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University is going to adjust the striping that we discussed. It's going to be the standard MUTC at the crosswalks of Church and Main, as well as Ford and Main. There will be an enhanced area with Ford Avenue on the right side as you turn right at Ford Avenue, it's going to be come out a little bit from the curb and painted. And I got a confirmation from the county that they're going to be handling all the striping, so there will be no cost to the borough. And the only thing we have to worry about is the cost of the bollards, and these will have to be purchased. They're going to be the temporary ones for the test run. We have to do this for 30 days. After this is done in this May, they will have availability of a paper as well as a survey online for your feedback to see if, you know, the bollards are working or not working. And this is a request for the grant that we received from the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. So there's a webinar I'll be attending is Lessons Learned on Integrating Water Quality and Nature-Based Approaches into Hazard Mitigation Plans. And this is a webinar that FEMA has 4 completed pilot projects, and it'll integrate the watershed planning, green infrastructure practices, and source water protection regarding the FEMA hazard mitigation plans. So that's scheduled for Thursday, March 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. The Transportation Coordinating Committee will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. There will be a presentation to discuss widening the pedestrian and bicycle paths on George Washington Bridge. We cover the whole state of things of what's happening, so that's what's on the agenda for tomorrow night. In addition, we do have the Milltown Chamber of Commerce. They're going to be doing a food drive collection for the month of March 2019. So please stop by the following local businesses to show your support: A&M Vacuum, Dr. Paula Salond, Carney Bank, Milltown Pharmacy, and Provident Bank. And we'll keep you posted on the Milltown Chamber Facebook page, Channel 15. I'll get the flyer out. And also on April 13th, we're going to be holding, Public Works will hold the New Jersey Clean Communities and Beautification event. We are looking at things that we can do. We discussed that this morning, Ralph and I. All participants will sign in at Borough Hall like in the past. We will direct you whether it's a beautification project or cleanup, and we can group you together. You can be individual, whichever you prefer. Each spring, this event grows, and we look forward to hearing from you. So you can contact Borough Hall, the Public Works, and on the flyers that we do have, we can also add the waiver forms, so this way you can get them signed ahead of time. And last thing is, 2 more things. Quality at the Green Infrastructure Training from Rutgers Water Resources Association Cooperative Extension is continuing. We meet once or twice a month, and that will be completed in June. We have 47 people signed up throughout the municipalities, and they will be looking to do another one in the fall. So there is at the Senior Center the quality improvements who are going to be doing the diabetes series. It's a 6-week session. It's going to be held at the Milltown Senior Center on Fridays, March 15th, March 22nd, March 29th, April 5th, April 12th, and April 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. It is on the bulletin board in the hallway, but we'll make sure it's posted elsewhere. It's also posted at the Senior Center, but for those of you who don't frequent the Senior Center, I wanted to make sure I put that out there. You can register by calling the Office on Aging at 732-296-0681. Also, we have at the Senior Center coming April 3rd is Parkinson's disease. That will be from 12 to 1, what you need to know. These are experts in the field from Hackensack Meridian Health Group. May 29th, we'll be living with arthritis, again from 12 to 1. And then on June 19th, from 12 to 2 p.m., will be memory loss. There will be a presentation following memory screening, so reach out to the Office on Aging to sign up for these. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Environmental, Health, and Social Services, chaired by Councilman Randy Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Short report tonight. The February Environmental Commission meeting is tomorrow, Tuesday, February 26th at 7:30 p.m. in Borough Hall. It's open to the public, and all are welcome. And that concludes the environmental report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Department of Recreation, chaired by Councilman Richard Revelinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I get into the recreation, I just want to let everyone know that also tomorrow night we'll be having a Ford Avenue Redevelopment Agency meeting at 7 p.m. Some of the topics for discussion are moving forward with the appointed professionals for evaluation of the site criteria to develop our amended plan. With that being said, along with daily operations, the Recreation Department has the following to report. When the Board of Education cancels all after-school activities, please note that PM SAC is also canceled. Update for summer SAC. We were advised by the Board of Education that they are unable to use Parkview School for summer SAC 2019 due to construction on the HVAC system. We are currently awaiting a response from the state, by whom we are licensed through, for what steps need to be taken to relocate the pre-K or pre-K through third grade summer SAC program to Joyce Kilmer School. As some may assume, it's not just relocating a program from one area or school to another. We must abide by the state mandates and requirements in order to do so. There is no need at this time to call the Recreation Department for updates. We will keep you informed as the specifics are worked out. We are also looking at ways to help lessen the burden of the facility fee increase presented to the borough by the Board of Education that went from approximately $12,000 per year for use of facilities for SAC to $35,000 per year for use of the facilities for SAC. Unfortunately, this increase was given to us 2 weeks prior to the startup of the 2018 and 19 school year and was not taken into account for the 2018 budget. We will have to pass this increase on to the users, meaning the parents as well. Please know we are looking into ways to do this with minimal impact and to decrease the burden as much as possible. The 2019 budget may also be impacted by the new $15 per hour minimum wage that can impact all seasonal rec and SAC employees. Summer SAC packets will be available in late March. We will have them up on our website once completed, and we thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. Recreation. We are still accepting all part-time seasonal employment applications for the Albert Avenue Summer Recreation Program, Summer SAC Program, and the Borough Pool. Even if you have worked in the borough in previous years, you must reapply. All applicants must be 15 years old by March 31st, and applications are due in 3 days. All spring programs and sports registration forms have been submitted to the website for approval and should be up and available quickly. We ask that if you have any questions regarding Milltown Recreation, the SAC program, or Borough Pool, to please call the Recreation Department directly for the correct answers. We ask that you do not turn to social media, as we will not respond. We appreciate your cooperation. If you would like to receive recreation, SAC, or pool newsflash notifications, please sign up with your email on the borough website. The Recreation Committee meeting has been rescheduled to this Wednesday, February 27th, from last week, which was canceled due to the weather. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Is there any old business to come before the council this evening?
I have a question, actually, Mr. Mayor. We had the bad winds today. I think we were fairly lucky. I haven't heard anything from utilities about branches or trees down, but I haven't heard what's the latest on the contract for the tree removal? Speaking of trees, we dodged a bullet this time, but.
Yeah, the clerk and I just discussed it. We're gonna be looking at it tomorrow, but we should have the final contract drafted and ready to go out this week to the vendor.
Okay.
That was appointed and get things rolling.
Great, thank you.
Any other old business? Seeing none, any new business to come before the council? Seeing none, audience comments, please state your name and address for identification on the record. The gentleman who's already here. Sorry, you may speak.
Thank you, sir. Russ Einbinder, 220B South Main Street. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here tonight on behalf of Boy Scout Troop 33. And basically, I want to make sure everybody here knows, if they don't know already, that this Saturday is our annual spaghetti dinner. It's our main fundraiser. And I want to also personally thank, as one of the committee members, a lot of the local businesses, establishments that have contributed their sponsorship this year. And thank you, Commander and the Legion, again, for letting us use your facility. And the reason I've been a scout for 52 years. My son's an Eagle Scout. I am. The reason I love scouting so much is bunch of the firemen behind me will tell you the same thing, and the rescue squad people will tell you, they grow up to be great citizens for a reason. They start learning how to treat each other, how to follow, and how to lead at a young age, and we never stop teaching that. And thank you, everybody, again. I hope to see you. I don't want to have to eat all that spaghetti myself. My doctor will kill me. Thanks.
Russ, what time?
Oh, I didn't say what time, I'm sorry. Early birds, which, you know, you don't have to be a senior. Anybody can come for the early bird.
I'll be there early.
I know you will, yes. You don't even need a double ARP card or anything. No, 4 o'clock, and it goes up to about 7 or 7:30, I think we stop serving, depending on how many people are still there, at the Legion.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir?
Lee Weisenberger, 99 JFK Drive. And you touched on the tree question. I was going to ask that myself. But, the water tank. I'm just curious, going back, I know we discussed maybe trying to get some advertisement on that tank. That all failed, or nobody's interested?
There was, when we looked into it, there's a lot of stipulations and limitations onto what a municipality can do and how long we can sign contracts for. So the cost of painting the tank with a logo, for example, if someone were interested, we'd have to basically go out to bid after a short period of time. So it kind of outweighs itself. I think the term, and Gabriella, correct me if I'm wrong, when we talked about this, was it 5 years or 6 years? Or you could do 5 years with a 3-year extension.
Yeah.
So basically you'd be painting it every 8 years, and in order to do so, you'd have to put up that big scaffolding, so it would just be
Right.
cost prohibitive for us to have to go out, and then if we didn't get anyone else to bid on it, that logo stays on there for,
Okay.
until we have to repaint, so.
Along that line, is the tank being repainted the way it was?
Yes,
Same colors, same Milltown logo, everything?
yes.
Okay, that's good. The cost now with the DPW building, this increase, this is gonna be discussed, I'm sure. We're gonna go back to the state for help on this, because of bonding or anything?
We budgeted initially, 15 million, and the bids came in somewhere around 10.5. So we're still very much under the budgeted amount and what we had bonds for.
Okay, that's good. Ms. Carver,
Yes.
I know going back to, you were gonna ask the county about plastic recycling, why they don't take the other plastics. Ever get a question, get an answer?
I never got an answer from them yet, but I will ask tomorrow night.
Simple question like that to the
It's-
county, and yeah, you know, like everything else. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing none? Council comments?
I have a couple things I forgot to mention in my report. The first is I'm the liaison to the Municipal Alliance, and they have their, we judged the PowerPoint competition on the dangers of underage drinking, and the winners will be presented this Friday at the March Madness. I think that's a hot ticket, and it's probably sold out, but it's a very, the Municipal Alliance will have a table and will have information, and so look for that. I'll give a report the next time. The other thing that I forgot to mention during the utility report is I've heard from a lot of people about the cones that are up on East Joffrey, that it's been dug up, and I actually talked to Ralph because during the freezes, and Mr. Barr and I have talked about this as well. That is not a Milltown thing, that is caused by a homeowner issue. I am speaking with the utility director on how long we can let that linger, because it is costing us time and money to go up and salt and make sure that that's not a hazard to the public. So we are going to keep looking into that, but it's been dug up for quite a while, and we're going to address that.
Yeah, we had a quick discussion about that this morning before I had to leave. And the homeowner, well, the plumber for the homeowner did get the permit, pull the permits,
That
get the
was
permits.
like over a month ago.
It was a while ago, so
Right.
I'm gonna find out tomorrow why it hasn't been completed.
Right.
And if we need to go in there, we've given enough time. If we need to go in there and fix it, we'll assess the homeowner.
Exactly. Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have two quick questions, Trina, regarding utilities, and I know we'll probably discuss this, but
Sure.
I know last year, we used to get our reports pretty quickly from any emergency contractors who came out and provided services to the borough. Do we have a dollar estimate for the break of the water main, or force main rather, as well as did we self-perform or did we go out to emergency service contract for West Lawrence?
You mean
So
West
force main, do
Lakewood?
we have a dollar, West Lakewood, yes, I'm sorry.
We went out for that. Lakewood, we definitely did. We did. I don't have the cost yet because the utility director was on vacation last week, so today's his first day
We
back.
I don't have it with me tonight, but he did put it in the system, that cost estimate for that, job out on, the force main. I just don't have the number off the top of my head.
So we called Montana for the lake, only because we were shorthanded. So we've hired an additional person, we have some other things, but, you know, as we talked with Mike McClellan, that's hitting our operating side of the budget, not the capital side, which is exactly why when we meet on next week, we want to address to go for whatever kind of funding, whatever we need to do to address that, or, you know, look at all of our options to deal with our decaying infrastructure in the most cost-efficient manner, so that we don't have these thousands of dollars of fixes every time a problem like this occurs. So we'll be doing our due diligence to get there as quickly as possible.
And the only other one I ask, and I'm bringing this up now because Lou's here, thankfully, is did we hear anything more from the state about the lead services? I know that right now we're kind of at the, have they agreed to reduce our sampling requirements, or are we still on the higher sampling frequency in that in June? If there's still the same number of lead services, we run the risk of possibly exceeding again.
Yeah, they still want to meet, and we've reached out to them to try to get some dates, and we're having a little bit difficulty getting dates out of them, but, you know, basically balls in their court right now, we're trying to get them.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to try and keep the pressure on that, because I think our next round is by the end of June or the end of July. So if we don't have to spend the money and take samples at that time, or if they say, oh yeah, you don't have to do it, but we already took the samples.
Lou, though, I thought, the utility director said since we had a favorable outcome last time, that would be the impetus to lower the amount too. Is that not correct?
Well, I think that's part of the discussion with them.
Okay.
They were always supposed to bring us back down to the lower tier of sampling, but
Well-
because we had an exceedance and then we dropped, and then an exceedance and then we dropped, they've kind of kept us up higher, so
Right.
the whole
right.
point is to
He
try and.
indicated that because this, now we're going back to this time to be the dropped. You know, if we do okay this time, then it should be drop again.
It's definitely going to help our argument.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Also, just want to point out, Jersey Waterworks, they're working on the lead in service within, you know, residents. The task force is looking for a work plan by this September. So they're all meeting, all the professionals, discussing this particular issue, so that they can come up with a plan and some financial resources as well to try and correct those within municipalities. So I'll keep you updated as it goes along.
Beautiful. Any other council comments? Seeing
Yes,
none?
Mayor.
Oh, you have one?
I may,
Sure.
just 1 second. I'd like to elaborate on something that Russ Einbinder said. This past Saturday, Cub Scouts were at the American Legion for their Blue and Gold dinner, and the young lads were learning about patriotism and what's going on. And we brought in several service dogs for them to learn and ask questions. Well, one of the people that I asked to come in was a township fella who went through the Cub Scouts, went through the Boy Scouts, earned his Eagle badge, went into service, and is currently diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And he brought his dog in to spend time with the kids who could really relate to these kids, because he was there just like they're there now. And I'd like to publicly thank him, and that's Matt Capella. He's done everything he can to enlighten these boys and do everything he can, and I'd like to say thank you. I appreciate his time. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll close council comments. Mayor's comments, just I have two. Firstly, I'd like to thank the entire council for supporting the change orders, 19068 and 69 this evening, for the new municipal complex. It's real important, and I think a great job was done by our professionals in keeping these costs down to a minimum. And we got a great project, and I can't wait to see this thing by the end of the year. So we're looking forward to that. And on a final note, you may remember over the past year, about a year ago and a little bit after that, we had a young man in here, Liam Zay. You probably remember him. He was the jiu-jitsu champ. Well, last weekend in Long Beach, California, Liam successfully defended his title as world champion jiu-jitsu champ. Again, Liam's a Milltown resident. He happens to be my grandnephew, so a little bit of pride in my heart. Liam's a great kid, and he works really hard. The training never ends for this. He did a fantastic job and defended his world championship. So very proud of him, and we just wish the best for Liam to continue winning for Milltown, and for himself, and also to keep working hard in school, kid. And that's all I got. With that, I will accept the motion for adjournment.
So be it.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Dixon, seconded by Councilwoman Kerber, that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.